Hi, this is Dr. Stephen from Outclick Magazine. Today we're very excited to talk to Jackie Huba, who is the founder and executive director of Drag Out the Vote. Jackie is the best-selling author of 4 books, Creating Customer Evangelists, Citizen Marketers, Monster Loyalty, How Lady Gaga Turns Followers into Fanatics, and Fiercely You, Be Fabulous, and Confident by Thinking Like a Drag Queen, who was endorsed by RuPaul. She is a TEDx speaker, a Forbes.com contributor, and her work has frequently been featured in the media, such as the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, and Business Week. She is currently residing in Austin, Texas. Jackie, we are very excited to have you today. Welcome to the program, and we're really excited to talk about Drag Out the Vote. What a whirlwind this has been, 2020, and what a whirlwind the last 3 years have been. Tell us about Drag Out the Vote, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Drag Out the Vote is a national, nonpartisan nonprofit that registers, educates, and turns out voters with the art and activism of drag. You know, we have fierce drag kings and queens and everyone in between who are helping us across the country to get out the vote. We register voters at online. We used to do a lot of offline events, but now everything is basically online.
So everything's on. So what is the mission of Drag Out the Vote? Tell me about the mission of it.
Yeah, and it's really, those 3 things. One is we register voters. And we have a registration portal on our website, so people can go and register, check their registration. We also educate voters on issues around voting, the latest information on voting, deadlines for registering, deadlines for mail-in ballots, all that good stuff. And then we encourage people to finally, after they register, get out and vote, early vote, whatever they need to do, whether they're make a plan. You're either going in person, you're mailing in, absentee, whatever you're doing, you need to have a plan. So that's really succinctly what our mission is.
Mm-hmm. Getting people educated on the process, getting them registered, and to actually finally get the vote in. I was at the doctor the other day, and the receptionist said, if you don't vote, you're going to get whatever you get, and you better be happy with it. That's about the truth.
That's right.
But getting people out to vote. Why drag performers? What's that's such a great concept, but why drag performers?
Yeah, and what's interesting is that this kind of thing has never been done, where we've mobilized drag artists from all over the country to be part of something related to voting and democracy. But at its core, drag has always been political. From the earliest times, when you think about, Stonewall, and you think about the trans women of color and drag artists who really gave birth to the modern LGBTQ equality movement. You think about the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, who educated and organized around the HIV/AIDS crisis in the 80s. And you think about like Pride, and you think about, drag artists are the ones who were out there loud and proud, being almost like voices for the community. They're the first people to help fundraise for charities. I mean, what they do is so motivating, and they have a microphone, whether it's in person or whether it's on social media. And so people listen to drag artists. And so that's why we thought that, this organization is only a year old. So drag artists are the perfect folks to help get people, to participate, because people listen to them.
Mm-hmm. They have a voice, and most of the time they have a pretty loud voice.
Exactly.
And they have a name, and they have a platform, and they have a following, and they have a loyal following.
Yep.
It's a great choice and a great marriage, for lack of a better word. A great partnership, for probably maybe even a better word, to use with them. I've got a statistic in front of me that 1 in 5 LGBTQ plus people are not registered to vote. That's staggering. That's 20% of us are not even registered to get out there and vote.
Yeah, it is staggering. And, back in 2016, I mean, we're, just to make sure everyone understands, we're a nonpartisan organization. But for me, back in 2016, I was shocked by that statistic. I was also shocked by the fact that I learned 100 million people did not vote in 2016. And then youth turnout is notoriously low, right? So in the 2018 election, the highest youth turnout for a midterm election was 35% in 2018. And that's the highest ever was. It was only 35%. So, there's so many folks who are just not participating. And we have to fix that, because we know that when everybody votes, people are voting for candidates who are going to believe in the issues you do. So we ask people to research, the issues you believe in, which candidates support the issues you believe in, and vote. And for the LGBT community, there's so many issues that we all care about. And so you need to find those candidates who support the issues that you care about. That's not being partisan. That's just really protecting our community.
It's even more so. Hillary, again, whoever you vote for or don't vote for, one of the things she said in her concession speech was, our country is more divided than we thought. And it really is more divided, which means that our voice, whatever voice that is that you have, or whatever you believe and whatever you need, needs to count and needs to literally be heard. If people want to be, there's a small window of time left if they want to be an ambassador. That's still a possibility, I think.
Yeah, so let me talk about that for a second. So one of the ways, the main way that we're getting out the vote across America is this idea called the Drag Ambassador Program. So we've been recruiting drag artists all over the country, literally in every state, to be the ambassadors for their community, because they know their communities really well. They have a lot of connections to their community. So to get people registered and get them out to vote, we didn't want to do it at just a national level. We wanted people in cities and states to be able to do this. So we still have a few spots left. The program application ends September 15th. Okay. But I think we're almost up to over 250 that we've already recruited. So we have a few more spots left.
Wow, that's amazing. Mm-hmm. That's amazing. And then you've got national co-chairs. Who are some of your national co-chairs? If you want to maybe speak on some of those fascinating people.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say, I really want to make sure people know that if people who are watching are fans of Drag Race, they may know Fifi O'Hara from season 4 and from All Stars 2. And she has been such a great friend of mine. He actually goes by Jeremy now, so I'm going to just use his name, Jeremy Carey. Okay. Right. And this idea for Drag Out the Vote really actually came from something he did, which was back in 2017, he organized a fundraiser to help Puerto Rico hurricane relief. His husband is Puerto Rican. And for the first time ever, he brought together over 28 drag queens from Drag Race and local Minnesota queens to do a giant fundraiser. And I helped him with it in Minneapolis. And they raised over $80,000 for this hurricane relief. And it was the first time that we saw so many, specifically drag racers, coming together for a giant cause. So when I started thinking about the election in 2019, I went to Jeremy and I said, Jeremy, I have this idea. It's taking that idea of bringing drag artists together to do something, but for elections. It's called Drag Out the Vote. What do you think? And he was like, I love it. Absolutely. And so he became our very first co-chair. Okay. And I didn't realize he was actually an activist all his life. He has raised money with his mom growing up in San Antonio. So this is in his blood. So he's the first person. And then Britta Filter, who folks might know from season 12 of RuPaul's Drag Race. Okay. And we did our first big kickoff event in January in Minneapolis, similar to what Jeremy had done before. And we had about 16 queens from Drag Race. And right before we were ready to have the event, our host had to cancel. And someone knew Britta and had invited her. Actually, Marty Cummings had invited her. And she came and she co-hosted with Jeremy the entire event. And she said, I love this. How do I be a part of it? And I really want to be involved. And we said, we would love for you to be a co-chair. So then she became the second co-chair. And then Marty Cummings is an amazing activist and for a long, long time, and is a drag artist. And she's the very first drag artist and non-binary person to run for New York City Council. So she's very much involved in politics and is such a great voice speaking on all these issues. So she's our third co-chair.
Wow. This is absolutely amazing. We need to speak up about these even more so. This is phenomenal, phenomenal. And then you've also, we were talking earlier before we got started, you're working with some of the secretaries of state and individual states and getting the opportunity to do that. If you want to tell us some about that.
Yeah, so it's really important when you look at the elections, the top election official in every state is the Secretary of State, right? Okay. So these are the folks who are in charge of all the deadlines. These are the folks who are in charge of disseminating all the information about how to vote in that state. So what we did is we went to key states and we started forming relationships with them and forming partnerships with them. And the very first one was the Secretary of State, Secretary Padilla for California, which is the biggest Secretary of State in the country. And it's a historic partnership because Secretaries of States have never partnered with, drag artist-based organizations on getting out the vote. And they are so amazing. We're going to have drag artists be poll workers, if you can imagine, your drag queens at the polls, literally taking your ID and helping you vote. As well as them giving us the latest information on how to vote in California and then getting that out through our drag ambassadors. So right now we have California partnership. We have a partnership with Secretary Gorbea from Rhode Island, and you're going to see us announcing a few more in the coming weeks. Okay.
We would love to do some video and some follow-up with all of those. That would be fantastic. And this is what's needed in the visual of some of the drag collecting the votes and doing that. That's just amazing. What a great partnership for you to be able to do that. I was telling you earlier, my mother, who is my editor-in-chief and has read every single article since the magazine began, used to work for the Kentucky Legislative Ethics Committee and got to go down on the Senate floor and the House floor in Kentucky. And so being a part of that has been part of our family heritage. And so this is amazing. That's really great that you're getting to work with those secretaries of state.
Yeah, they've been so great. And we really appreciate them partnering with, we're a new organization, but they've been so supportive because they know that, it really matters that everyone votes. And so the more ways that they can get that information out on, early voting, and because this election is going to be unlike any other election we've ever had. There's so many processes that are changing on how you vote. Are there drop boxes? How does mail-in voting work? For the first time, some states are mailing out the ballot applications for mail-in voting, which is some of these things have never been done before. So for the voter, there's a lot of information that's changing. So, you as a voter really have to be aware of what's changing. And that's part of what our drag ambassadors are doing, for each state, is letting their audiences know what is the latest and best way that you can make sure that you get your vote, especially if you're mail-in voting, on time and at the place where it needs to be.
Place where it needs to be. And then you're working with a program that's got an event coming up this Thursday, September 10th, 2020 at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's very exciting. Another partnership that you're working on, Jackie.
Yes. So many folks might know Rock the Vote. Rock the Vote's been around for 30 years. They're an iconic voter engagement organization, and we've partnered with them. So we are doing this Thursday, as you said, the 10th at 9 p.m. Eastern, a digital drag show. But it is also a voter registration event, and it also has a fundraising component to help us fundraise for Drag Out the Vote to make sure that we can, do all the things we want to do by the election. The performances are amazing. Jeremy, as I mentioned earlier, he really has scaled back the amount of times he does drag. He does so many other things, but he has gotten into drag, and he's doing a drag performance for us in this show. We have performances from the Vixen, who's from Drag Race, Rock and Sakura, who's from season 12. Fan favorite Cynthia Lee Fontaine is bringing her cuckoo to our show. And we have other surprises and other guests who are going to be part of that. So if folks are interested in going, you can go to Drag Out the Vote's Facebook and RSVP for that event. And there's also more information on our website at dragoutthevote2020.org.
Okay. And I've got your website up there. Is there anything in particular? There's lots on the website, but in addition to the Rock the Vote, now that's September 10th.
Mhm.
2020. That's Thursday night, this coming Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. They need to go to your Facebook page to watch the broadcast.
Yes, it will be broadcast, yes, on our page. And you can RSVP for it right now on our Facebook page so that you'll get alerted and remember to attend. But it's a
Okay.
one-time only, so the video won't stay out there. So you have one time to watch it, and you
Okay.
do not want to miss these performances.
Okay, so it's only broadcast live. Gotcha.
Mhm.
Okay. Is there anything about the website, anything additional about the website you want to show us, or anything in particular?
Well, one thing I would love for people to do is just, I think on the front page is, you know what, you should sign up for our newsletter. If you want to know more about how to support us, there's a pop-up that will pop up to ask you to sign up for our newsletter, or you can get involved and sign up for our newsletter. So please do that. You can also follow us on social media. All of our handles are Drag Out the Vote on social media as well. Yeah.
I have that somewhere as a banner.
Oh yeah, there you go. It's Drag Out the Vote on everything. Yeah.
Drag Out the Vote. Yes, yes. And if they want to donate, they can also donate.
Yes, on our page, you'll see a big donate button at the top of our website. You can donate. I mean, even, a $5 recurring monthly donation, every bit helps out. So we really appreciate everyone and their support. So thank you to everyone who has donated and anyone who's going to donate in the future. We really appreciate you.
You're welcome. Everyone, thank you for donating and being part of this program. This is a time to get out and vote, and a time to make your voice heard. And it's like the girl at this office said, if you don't get out and vote, you're going to get what you get and be happy with it. And this is the time. This is an honor and a privilege as an American and as a citizen to get to vote. And as one sometimes we take lightly and we take for granted, but it is something a lot of people died for, and it's something that we have worked very hard as a country that we get to vote, and we have a privilege in this country to vote. It is not something that we should take lightly or take for granted, because not every culture or country gets this opportunity to vote and has a peaceful transition of power that we do in this country that happens this way. Our leaders transition, and we have the opportunity to make change. And this is one of the most powerful things we can do to make change. And the cost to vote is zero.
Yep.
Costs absolutely nothing to vote. There's no reason not to, other than the simple time to go do it. And it is an honor as an American to get to do this.
That's right.
And we should do it, because the cost is nothing, and it's the most powerful thing we can do to instigate change in our culture.
That's right. And I will say we are nonpartisan, but I do believe, for many of us, we believe that this is maybe one of the most consequential elections of our lifetime. So, if you want to see the things that you want to see come to fruition, then, protesting and voting, these are two ways to make your voice heard, but we need to do both. Protest
and vote, and be involved in a way that's not been involved before. If anything that has happened in the last 3 years, people have talked about politics more than they ever have in 30 or 40 years since, I don't know when. At least people are involved, and at least people are talking, and they might be arguing at some point, but at least people are talking and involved and are not passive. And it's time to put action to that. And the simple thing is voting. And again, costs absolutely nothing to go vote. Of all the time and money we spend on things, voting is free and is our voice to make change in our government. And it's time to do it. And it's our privilege to do it as an American.
That's right. And just also, too, I know we talk a lot about presidential elections, but when you look at your ballot, there's a lot of elections that affect you locally. So, it's not just the president, and we need to vote every year, but the reason is because, your mayor, your state legislator, judges, all of these folks who are local to you may impact what your life more than even the president might. So we need to vote every year, but we also need to make sure that we do our research and look at the candidates the whole way down the ballot, right down to your local officials.
Yes. Multiple layers, and they're making even bigger decisions coming down the pike than we've made before because of our technology, our taxes, our roads, and because of all of the COVID impact of all of the economic decisions that they are forced to make upcoming. It's quite the hefty job that they have, but somebody has to do it, and they are stepping up to the plate to do it, and we have to decide who we want in the office. So
That's right.
Jackie, thank you so much. This is an exciting program. I'm glad that you have taken the time to talk to us. Is there anything you wanted to cover that I didn't ask?
No, I think I've covered everything. Hope we see some of you on Thursday night at our show.
Yes, yes. And my last question that I ask everyone during the program, at the end of the program, is what words of encouragement do you have for watchers during this very challenging time?
Yeah, I think for me is find a way to take action, because I think I have to tell you something. I've never been in politics. I've never been an activist my whole life, right? Like I was a marketing speaker. I worked in marketing my whole life. And one day I just said, I want to make an impact. I want to make a national impact, and voter registration, get out the vote is the thing to do. So I know a lot of us, we like to post on Facebook, and, you know, I would say take an action. You're going to feel better. Like actually do something that makes a change in your world, even if it's local or if it's big, whatever it is, take some action and make a difference. And I think that will help us all maybe just feel a little better.
Do something.
Do something.
Do something.
Posting on Facebook is not something.
Yes. Do something. Do something tangible with our time. It's out there. The resources are out there. Well, Jackie, again, thank you. It's been a delight chatting with you, and I'm excited to see what becomes even more so of Drag Out the Vote this Thursday, Rock the Vote. And if you have any questions, let us know. If you'd like to know more about us, text OCQ 22828 to stay updated for us. And thank you, everyone, and have a great afternoon.